Here is a statistic almost nobody in mainstream medicine talks about openly. At the time of autopsy, 80% of men over the age of 80 have prostate cancer cells in their prostate. 80%. But most of those men died of something else entirely. The cancer was there. It never progressed. And the difference between the men whose prostate cancer stayed dormant and the men whose cancer escaped and spread, that difference is not primarily genetic. Harvard and Johns Hopkins followed men for 20 years. They found the same thing. What separates these two groups traces directly back to the food environment those tumors were living in. Specifically, whether those tumors had access to blood vessel growth, which is controlled in part by what you eat. Your doctor has probably never explained any of this. Today that changes. I am Dr. Laura Candy. I am a licensed physician with 15 years of clinical practice focused on cellular aging and cancer prevention in women and men over 50. Every week I review primary research so that you do not have to. And 15 years of clinical practice showed me this. The conversation about prostate cancer in most clinical appointments focuses on screening and surgery, almost never on the food environment that determines whether a tumor stays dormant or breaks containment. Harvard's Physicians' Health Study tracked over 47,000 men. The findings on dietary lycopene alone are striking. A 47% reduction in advanced prostate cancer risk in men consuming the highest dietary lycopene compared to the lowest, 47%, from a single dietary compound. And almost no general practitioner brings this up in a standard appointment. The male doctors who have seen you for 10 minutes in the last 6 months almost certainly have not described the angiogenic mechanism behind prostate cancer progression. Today you are hearing it from someone who does. Here is what determines whether a dormant prostate tumor stays small forever or escapes containment. It is angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the formation of new blood vessels. Tumors cannot grow without blood supply. They cannot recruit nutrients. They cannot remove waste. They cannot expand. Think of it this way. A tumor without blood vessels cannot grow larger than the tip of a ballpoint pen. What you eat determines whether those vessels ever form. This is not a fringe theory. The Nobel Prize for Medicine has been awarded multiple times for work on the angiogenesis pathway. The understanding is settled. The clinical application is where the gap exists. In a healthy prostate, anti-angiogenic compounds and pro-angiogenic compounds exist in balance. After 60, that balance shifts. Inflammatory food intake increases pro-angiogenic signaling. Anti-angiogenic compound intake typically decreases. The balance tips toward letting tumors recruit blood supply. Clinical studies showed this is reversible. The same dietary compounds that protect a 30-year-old prostate continue working at 75. The mechanism does not age out. The intake usually does. If you are watching this and you are over 60, pay attention to what this means. The dormant tumor in 80% of older men is not destiny. Whether it grows or stays still is, to a meaningful degree, a function of what you put on your plate this week, this month, this year. Those who do not know this are sleeping on what may be the most actionable cancer prevention finding in modern oncology. Today that changes. By the end of this video, I am going to tell you the one common food your doctor probably still recommends. The one the NHS data flagged years ago. Most men eat it every single morning. Stay with me. The first food is one you have eaten in the last week. Almost certainly. What you may not know is that the form you ate it in determines whether it does anything for you at all. Cooked tomatoes. The active compound is lycopene, a carotenoid, a bright red pigment, and it is the single most studied anti-angiogenic compound in prostate cancer research. Pause on this. Raw tomatoes contain lycopene, but cooking changes the chemical structure. Specifically, heat converts lycopene from its natural trans form into the cis form. The cis form is approximately 3.8 times more bioavailable than the trans form. The compound your body can actually use comes from the cooked tomato, not the raw one. Think of it this way. A raw tomato is good food. A cooked tomato is medicine for your prostate. Two different categories. This was confirmed by the Harvard Physicians' Health Study, the largest dietary cohort study on prostate cancer ever conducted. Men consuming approximately 30 milligrams of lycopene per day, primarily from cooked tomato products, showed a 47% reduction in advanced prostate cancer risk compared to the lowest consumption group. The protective effect was specific to advanced and metastatic disease. which is exactly the disease you do not want. Roughly half a cup of marinara sauce, simmered for 20 minutes or longer, delivers the threshold dose. Cooking time matters. 20 minutes is the published minimum for full lycopene conversion. Quick sauces from a jar that was already pasteurized fall short of the cooking time the research used. Add olive oil during cooking. Lycopene is fat-soluble. Without fat, absorption drops by approximately 40%. The combination of cooked tomato plus olive oil is not a coincidence in Mediterranean cuisine. It is biology. The second food is one I almost never see prescribed clinically, despite published phase 2 trial data that should have changed practice years ago. Pomegranate juice. The compounds responsible are L-gitannins, specifically punicalagin, which the gut microbiome converts into urolithin A. Urolithin A is a direct anti-angiogenic compound. It also induces apoptosis, specifically in prostate cancer cells, while leaving healthy prostate cells unaffected. This was confirmed by a phase 2 clinical trial conducted at the University of California. Men with biochemically recurrent prostate cancer, meaning their PSA was rising after primary treatment, consumed 8 ounces of pomegranate juice daily. The result was a doubling of the PSA doubling time. In plain language, the cancer's growth rate slowed by approximately half. This was a small trial, 46 men, but the magnitude of the effect in men with active disease justified its publication and follow-up. A larger phase 3 trial is underway. The phase 2 result has been sitting in the literature for over a decade. 8 ounces of pomegranate juice daily, cold-pressed if available, without added sugar. Whole pomegranate seeds work as well, but the concentrated juice was what the trial used. Now, items 1 and 2 are what mainstream nutrition researchers will sometimes mention. Cooked tomatoes are well known. Pomegranate has filtered into popular health awareness, but the next 2 compounds are where the research gets genuinely actionable. Specifically because one of them you can grow on your kitchen counter in a glass jar in 3 days, and the data on it surprised the research team that ran the trial. If you are still watching, this is the part you stayed for. The third food is green tea. The active compound is EGCG, epigallocatine gallate, a polyphenol unique to the Camellia sinensis plant, and it does multiple things in prostate tissue simultaneously. It inhibits tumor angiogenesis, it induces apoptosis in malignant prostate cells, and it modulates androgen receptor signaling, which is the primary pathway by which prostate tumors grow. 3 independent mechanisms, 1 compound. This was confirmed at MD Anderson Cancer Center in a clinical trial on men under active surveillance for low-grade prostate cancer. The men who consumed the equivalent of 3 cups of brewed green tea per day showed statistically significant reductions in serum PSA, in tissue inflammatory markers, and in the rate of disease progression at 12-month follow-up compared to the matched control group. 3 cups of brewed green tea. Brewed, not green tea extract in capsule form. The matrix matters. The hot water extraction releases the EGCG in the form the trial measured. Green tea extracts have been associated with liver enzyme abnormalities in some users. Brewed tea does not produce the same risk. Steep at 175 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 to 3 minutes. Boiling water destroys a significant fraction of the EGCG. This is the variable most home preparation gets wrong. The fourth food is one you can grow yourself in a glass jar on your kitchen counter in 3 days. Broccoli sprouts. The active compound is sulforaphane, and the concentration in broccoli sprouts is approximately 50 times higher than in mature broccoli. This is not a small difference. Sulforaphane is one of the most potent activators of the NRF2 pathway. NRF2 is a transcription factor that controls the expression of dozens of cellular detoxification and antioxidant genes. In prostate tissue, NRF2 activation specifically suppresses the growth of malignant cells while leaving healthy cells unaffected. The mechanism is highly selective. This was confirmed at Roswell Park Cancer Institute in clinical trial work. Men consuming broccoli sprout extract showed measurable reductions in prostate cancer cell proliferation markers and increased apoptosis in biopsied tissue compared to placebo. A quarter cup of fresh broccoli sprouts, 3 times per week, raw or very lightly steamed. Cooking destroys sulforaphane. The compound is heat sensitive. The sprouts must be young, 3 to 5 days old, when sulforaphane concentration peaks. Mature broccoli has a fraction of the active compound, and if you have watched this far, Items 5 and 6 are where this video shifts entirely, because everything I have described so far is what a thoughtful nutrition researcher might bring up. Items 5 and 6 are different. Item 5 involves a single ingredient with the strongest hormonal modulation data of anything on this list. And item 6 is the food I told you about at the start of this video. The one your doctor probably still recommends. The one the NHS data flagged years ago. The one most men over 60 eat every single morning. 15 years of clinical practice showed me this. The biggest gaps in what men hear from their physicians are not about exotic compounds. They are about everyday foods that current dietary guidelines still endorse despite the population-level data pointing the other direction. This is one of those. The fifth food is ground flaxseed. Flaxseed contains the highest concentration of dietary lignans of any commonly available food. Lignans are converted by the gut microbiome into enterolactone and enterodiol, which are mild estrogen receptor modulators. In men, enterolactone has been shown to reduce circulating bioavailable testosterone in ways that specifically slow androgen-driven prostate cancer growth. This sounds counterintuitive. The instinct is that more testosterone is better for an aging man. But the research on prostate tumor biology is unambiguous. Androgen-driven prostate tumors grow faster in higher testosterone environments. Reducing free testosterone by even modest amounts slows disease progression measurably. Clinical studies showed this in a Duke University pilot trial. Men diagnosed with prostate cancer consumed 30 grams of ground flaxseed daily for an average of 30 days before scheduled surgery. The post-surgical pathology specimens showed significantly slower tumor proliferation rates compared to the control group. The intervention was 4 weeks. The mechanism was hormonal modulation through dietary lignans, 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed per day. Ground, not whole. The seed coat is too tough to digest, and the lignans are locked inside. A coffee grinder works. Add to yogurt, smoothies, or oatmeal. Refrigerate after grinding. Ground flaxseed oxidizes within days at room temperature. The 6th item is the food I told you about at the beginning of this video. It is high-calcium dairy, specifically daily intake of more than 2,000 milligrams of calcium primarily from dairy sources. 3 to 4 glasses of milk per day. Daily large servings of cheese. The pattern your doctor probably still recommends if you ask about bone health. This is the part where I want to be precise, because the research is precise. The relationship is not dairy causes cancer. That is not what the data says. The data says that calcium intake above approximately 2,000 milligrams per day, particularly when sourced primarily from dairy, has been associated with increased advanced prostate cancer risk in multiple large cohort studies. The Harvard Physicians' Health Study, the European Prospective Investigation into Cancer, the NHS data separately in adults over 60. The mechanism appears to involve suppression of vitamin D activation. High calcium intake suppresses 1,25-dihydroxyvitamin D synthesis, and active vitamin D has anti-proliferative effects on prostate tissue. Suppressing it removes a layer of protection. This does not mean avoid calcium entirely. The total daily target for an adult man is approximately 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams from all sources. The risk signal appears at sustained intake above 2,000 milligrams, which is achievable with 3 to 4 daily servings of dairy. The clinical advice from 20 years ago, drink 3 glasses of milk a day, was based on bone density research that did not adequately weight prostate cancer outcomes. The advice has not been updated in most clinical practice. It needs to be. If you are watching this and you are over 60, pay attention to what this means. You do not have to avoid dairy. You have to track your calcium intake and stay closer to 1,000 milligrams per day from all sources, not 2,000 plus. Before I give you the exact protocol, take 2 seconds to check that you are subscribed. This week, I am publishing 2 more videos. Each one covers a different mechanism of cellular aging your doctor almost certainly has not explained. Tomorrow's video on autopsy is the foundation for everything I have not been able to fit into these earlier videos. At the start of this video, I told you something important. 80% of men over 80 have prostate cancer cells, but most never die from it. Here is what the 20-year follow-up data actually showed about which men crossed from dormant to dangerous. The Ornish Lifestyle and Prostate Cancer Trial enrolled men with biopsy-confirmed early-stage prostate cancer who had chosen active surveillance over surgery. The intervention group followed a dietary and lifestyle protocol. The control group continued standard care. After 12 months of intervention, the protocol group showed significantly slower disease progression by every measurement used. Lower PSA, less proliferation in tissue biopsies, reduced angiogenic signaling. The control group showed expected age-related progression. After 5 years, follow-up data showed something striking. The intervention group had measurable reversal of disease markers, not just slowing. Telomere lengthening was documented in the same protocol participants in a separate publication. This is not a single compound effect. This is a comprehensive dietary pattern that addresses angiogenesis, hormonal modulation, inflammation, and oxidative stress simultaneously. Every food I described in this video is part of the underlying logic of that intervention. The gap between what those trial participants did and what most men over 60 are currently eating is approximately 15 years of unintegrated research. I do not think you have 15 years to wait. And the last variable in this protocol, the one I held until now, is what determines whether the foods do their job or whether you do everything right and still see no result. It is not an additional food. It is something most men over 60 are doing every single morning that quietly undermines the entire anti-angiogenic effort. Here is exactly what to do. Morning, 3 cups of brewed green tea, brewed at 175 degrees, steeped 2 to 3 minutes. No sugar, no milk added to the tea, because dairy proteins bind to EGCG and reduce absorption by approximately 30%. Spread the 3 cups across the morning hours. Not all at once. Lunch. Approximately half a cup of cooked tomato product. Marinara, simmered tomato sauce, slow-cooked tomato base, 20 minutes minimum cooking time. Add 1 tablespoon of olive oil during cooking, not after. Fat-soluble lycopene needs the cooking phase oil for proper conversion. Evening. 8 ounces of cold-pressed pomegranate juice, without added sugar, with a meal, not on an empty stomach. The food matrix slows absorption and improves uptake of urolithin A. Daily. 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed in yogurt or smoothie. Refrigerate after grinding. Use within 5 days, 3 times per week. A 1/4 cup of fresh broccoli sprouts, raw or very lightly steamed. Grow them in a glass jar in 3 to 5 days. They are not exotic. They are $5 worth of seed and a jar. And the most important part, track your calcium intake and keep it between 1,000 and 1,200 milligrams per day from all sources combined. This means measuring, not estimating. Most men over 60 who think they are at 1,200 are actually at 1,800 because of bread, fortified foods, supplements, and calcium-set tofu, adding up beyond their direct dairy intake. The red line is daily calcium above 2,000 milligrams from dairy sources. If you have been drinking 3 glasses of milk daily on the advice of a physician concerned about bone density, the calcium load is approximately 900 milligrams from milk alone. Add cheese, fortified cereals, and supplements, and you are easily above the threshold the cohort data flags as a prostate cancer risk increase. The bone density goal is real. The dairy load is the wrong way to achieve it. Vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin K2, and resistance training matter more for bone density after 60 than additional calcium beyond 1,200 milligrams. Subscribe, drop your age in the comments below. I read every single one. And tell me, did you know about the calcium threshold before today? Tomorrow's video covers a Nobel Prize-winning discovery that your body uses to eat cancer cells from the inside. It is called autophagy. Your doctor probably knows the word. What they have not told you is how to turn it on with food. Specifically, what to add to your morning coffee that extends the autophagy window by 4 times what coffee alone provides. That is tomorrow. It is on the screen right now. Do not miss it. That is the line between this protocol working and this protocol delivering nothing. If what you heard today is different from what your doctor has told you, that is not an accident. The dietary research on prostate cancer angiogenesis has been published for over 20 years. Most clinical guidelines have not caught up. That gap is exactly why this channel exists. Subscribe, drop your age in the comments below. I read every single one. And tell me, did you know about the calcium threshold before today? Tomorrow's video covers a Nobel Prize-winning discovery that your body uses to eat cancer cells from the inside. It is called autophagy. Your doctor probably knows the word. What they have not told you is how to turn it on with food. Specifically, what to add to your morning coffee that extends the autophagy window by 4 times what coffee alone provides. That is tomorrow. It is on the screen right now. Do not miss it.